This is called being happy. Up until this moment, I thought I knew what it meant to be happy. But it wasn't until these first few lines of words where I realized I truly don't know what happiness actually feels like. Or at least not anymore can I relate to its existence. I believe a long time ago, somewhere in my childhood, I lost my grasp on this very thing I have been pushing to be the majority of my life. Because my understanding of happiness is to be content and or filled with pleasure. But all that lies there is a deep emptiness, and honestly, my soul feels void because of it. On television, happiness is portrayed as being in a loving and intimate relationship, or having good friends, or even just being funny and being the life of the party, the one who makes everyone else laugh. I don't even know how to make myself laugh. A part of me wonders if it is all crap or not. If I'm going by what I was taught or learned from observation, your family should make you happy, because not everyone has one to appreciate and to know. The love for you should fill you with happiness and joy. It's supposed to feel warm and welcoming and comfortable. My family is very much so complicated and all over the place, filled with their own resentments and hidden agendas that there has never been time to teach me or show me happiness. In fact, sometimes I hate it, and I have been jealous of people I have met in my life who have said they have it. I feel like it was stolen from me, and because I didn't know how to ask as a child those very important questions you ask your parents, I never recovered from those bits of life I lost. Every beating, I went to bed bruised. I never recovered from those days of confusion of not knowing how to act or when to talk or when to act. All those days living in fear and pain turned my joy and my innocence into an anguished spirit. Yeah, there it is. The happiness I once felt died so many complicated years ago. I used to believe actually God was unhappy he made me. Because when you love something, you're happy with it. And it seemed all I ever heard was, you're an idiot, or you're good for nothing. And in the Bible, God brought turmoil upon those he was unhappy with and even hated. When I was 10 years old, I spent the whole year hating myself, praying to God that he wouldn't let me live in pain and sorrow anymore and have to deal with the beatings, the extension cords, watching my mother get black eyes and my brothers dismantled in front of my very eyes and forced to stand there and watch or else receive the same punishment only to receive it anyway later once my father was in his own situations within his mind and his spirit and his soul. I spent a long time thinking God hated me simply because I woke up each day, so I started hating myself, hating the way I looked, I talked, hating how I felt inside. For me, in that time frame of my life, that was my reality of happiness. And then when compliments would come from my peers, well, insults would come from my heart. And when tears fell down their faces, smiles would spread upon my own. But inside, I told myself, I was an idiot. Why did you do that? You like him or you like her. You're friends. I didn't understand the things I do now. And even with my knowledge now, I find myself complex about happiness. I feel so unacknowledged. No one appreciates the things I do for them or the beliefs I have or the morals I hold true to. I cannot say that I know who I am and that who I may be is delightful or genuine. People I have met strive to accomplish goals that will make them feel a sense of completeness or satisfaction, a place of humble peace, and for them, that goal may be becoming a business owner or taking the family business over or traveling the world and seeing many countries and cultures. I have friends who are exercise junkies and feed on the workout to start their mind off right to begin their day and end it. I exercise so I can feel healthy, but it's also to intimidate others so they know to back off before they think to approach me with foolish thinking. And it's also to impress women. All my life I have believed in God and prayed to him, and my parents were always big on going to church and doing the right thing because the Lord was watching, and if you don't, you'll end up in hell. Well, who wants to end up burning for eternity? Of course I'm going to try to do the right things, society says, so I should. Probably go to church. Probably don't kill, don't steal, don't commit any crimes, don't commit adultery. I've carried on burdens of my family and friends and girlfriends, and none of these things were for me. Every bit of it was for someone else to have that serenity. And while those individual people in my life enjoyed their bliss, I stood by in deep depression with my misery, quickly falling away from bonds that were unbreakable. They became shattered into separate emotions, and my own resentments and unfinished plans lost without agriculture. The no clearance zone of my mind watched and observed everyone I knew become this thing called happiness. But of me, trending green, I am still running down that road that goes for miles and miles, and every so often you come across street names such as sadness, depression, anger, confusion, excitement, hopeful, fear, love and hate, joy and security. What am I to do? What am I to do? Because none of these streets have ever led me to happiness or peace or calm or justice. So most days of my life, I sit alone and misunderstood and remaining quiet, reading my books, observing people and the way they behave and trying to mimic what I see so that I'm not left out in the cold alone anymore. Yet I remain still in sorrow and still alone and still unwanted and still uncared for and still useless and very much so still unhappy. So what is happiness for me? Maybe it's something rich people are only allowed to conquer and the middle class can have the crumbs of it, and yet I am still waiting for those crumbs. Maybe it's fairy tale and and make believe like fairies and pixies. Which means you have to create your own happiness and find it within yourself instead of that fingertip illusion. And instead of finding it within yourself, you find it at the fingertips of others. Or maybe that is the illusion, that happiness is something that you can't find within yourself, but you find it at the fingertips of others. Maybe that is the illusion. But within myself is anger and resentment. My college degree does not mean a thing to anyone. I only see the stupid boy who became an even more stupid man and allowed himself to be drenched in everyone else's problems and allowed himself to soak in sulfurs of over controlling thoughts and actions because I wasn't allowed to think or act for myself. I'm still running down that road and I'm still so tired and I'm so hungry, but there is no bed to lie in nor food that will nourish me with the vitamins and minerals I need. There is no protein. So when I come face to face with you and I'm trying these new things of letting go of anger and letting go of the past and being forgiving and understanding the error in my thinking and stopping the gangbanging and living the street life, it all is what I grew up watching and observing. And maybe by those men and maybe by those women, I had a corrupted version of happiness sunk into my heart. And maybe by those men and maybe by those women had a corrupted version of happiness that I shouldn't have adapted to, but because of those men and women to the things that I became were the ones who accepted me and my damaged heart. I never truly felt comfortable and loose enough to be myself except when I am within the wonders of this paper and pen, and especially when I am within the world of music and singing and doing shows. That is the only time it's not about anyone else other than myself. In fact, it's only about myself when I'm singing. I'm telling you my stories and what I believe, not what anyone else may feel or went through. It's only in that lifestyle of show where my reality is your entertainment, where I feel comfortable, where Trending Green, the man, is just trending the artist and entertainer. Because the version of me that you see is not the version of me that I be. Because that version of me can be completely honest, with no barriers and no burdens and no sorrows, completely welcomed and loved and understood, where my joy and pains and tears can flow freely without any judgment, without any fear or doubt about who I am or worry about my record. Free. That is my goal. To be happy and free. Far beyond cage and change, I want to be free within my spirit because I am held down by unresolved, suppressed memories because I fear what I feel. And I feel the fear of just thinking about resolving those issues, and it agitates me. It brings a whole new look into my eyes, and my demeanor and mannerisms become something not my own once again. So I would rather hide behind locked smiles and cute giggles so that you don't know that I'm scared. These resentments are my boogeyman, and you cannot have happy days with that. Harsh but true, and in my moment of weakness, I'm then left to wonder what kind of son was I really, and what kind of uncle am I now, and what kind of father, yes, what kind of father am I now? Those are the things that hunt me. Those are the things that take away my happiness. What kind of father am I to leave my children alone while I go to be alone and jailed, in prison, in physical pain and agony? So my question was, have you ever heard that a person who is lonely often dreams about what it means to be happy? And that means before we can even think or dream about being happy or feeling happy, we have to first obtain the knowledge and understanding of what that means to be. So if I am running down this road and it continues to keep going and I never stop, and along the way, people throw me food and water. People throw me books and magazines. People throw me notebooks and cell phones and tablets. All the while, I'm still running, much longer than any Forrest Gump could have ever imagined. I never have the time for friends or family or love or my children or even my enemies. I'm just forever moving so that I don't have to deal with emotion or deal with work or deal with sickness or deal with financial, because all of it is just too great to bear. So eventually I become comfortable with loneliness, and anyone else who tries to intervene into our circle, me and loneliness, will only get false smiles, or smiles that are signs showing you I'm uncomfortable, or I'm scared, or I'm curious, or I want to be in your world but I don't know how to. And if I let go right now, I may be good or bad. I'm not sure which version of me you'll get because I don't know which version of me you will accept. Because when I'm truthful, you tell me I'm lying. And when I'm being kind hearted, you tell me I'm cruel. So enough is enough. I just won't care at all. Thus, I never stop running, and I pass by happiness many times before I begin to scream out for help. A while ago, there was a woman named Janique who used to be my happiness, and yet she, a distant friend who I am still in some ways in love with, who I would really feel comfortable around and loved, and what the heart wants, sometimes the heart can't get, right? It's the things that we screw up that we can't seem to cleanse. And it was with her I felt secured and joyful and happy with. Yet I don't think that I can or will ever have that again. So now what the hell do I chase? What do I seek? When the happiness I want and that I need has been stolen once again from me. These things are relevant to the simple question I'm being asked of what happiness looked like if it was in a part of my life. What would happiness look like if it was in and a part of my life? So I challenge you to answer this question. What would happiness look like if it was in and a part of your life? These unstable lines show you that I have no understanding of it. I would think in a perfect world, happiness in my life would be knowing God truly loves me, having my parents be proud of me, being mentally stable, and not being impulsive with anger or depression, not living a life of confusion. I would have a good career, my own house, my children would be with me and they would know I love them. There would be balance in my life, a good car to move around the city in, trustworthy friends, and freedom from feeling alone and freedom from feeling judged. That would be what happiness would look like in my life. But even deeper into it, all of it, my firstborn child would have never died. And I wouldn't feel some sort of grudge with God. I wouldn't hate myself not being there to change things 12 years ago. If all these memories didn't play in my head daily, week after week, year after year, I would believe that I would be happy or at least have a better understanding of it. But instead, I feel suffocated by regrets and shame, and the wheels are freshly turning. The closets I feel to even having someone be happy with me, the closest I even feel to having someone who may understand me is when I talk to a mental health psychologist who can possibly humanize me. Because I have become inhumane. I have become the animal, the the very target that needs to be tamed, that needs to be caged. I am not of this world. And rationalized. The psychiatrist that can rationalize me and my behavior and my thinking. What would it look like if I was happy? It would look like a sunny day with birds in the sky, partly cloudy, not too hot, but warm enough for a swim. Family and friends sitting around in genuine love and laughter, communicating with each other. It would look comfortable. It would feel comfortable. A wife just for me, financially stable, everyone I love in good health, no legal problems, no put downs or shutouts by those closest to me. I would have no stress about bills needing to be paid, or rather, how I was going to come up with the income to pay them. Those snapshots of my past wouldn't constantly shine through and overtake the sunlight. I would feel content and I would feel safe. I would feel like the bad guy no more, or be okay with being the bad guy. It seems the majority of people think I'm aiming to be. I would have that healing in my heart. The earth would have pure air to breathe without any deadly disease to be caught. I could speak to you on layers of hearty meat rather than thin crust. There would be no breaking news of another African American man having a knee to his head for 8 minutes as he stops breathing. That's what happiness would look like for me. My children would never have to ask me, Dad, do you love me? Or do you love prison? Do you love me? Or do you love prison? Hmm. Overall happiness for me would be not living within the prison I have set myself to suffer in because of unaccomplished goals, where one half of me lives seclusion, the others would hide in society. It would take the whole person, and finally I would know what it feels like to breathe. If I could breathe, I'd be happy.